The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome into episode 9 of Mossy Creek Conversations. Very special guest here today, former Carson-Newman wide receiver Dorren Miller, who spent time in the NFL for a couple years. Dorren, appreciate you taking some time. Looking forward to catching up with you a little bit.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Let's start way back, all the way back in your high school days. You got basically 2,000 yards worth of passes. How would you scout a high school Dorren Miller?
How would I scout a high school Dorren Miller? The high school Dorren Miller had a lot of speed. I was really raw. But I would look at, the things that like the ceiling. He has a lot of development. We can develop this guy. I'm gonna bring him in. That's what really a lot of college scouts seen in me, was the fact that I had speed and the raw talent, and they felt like they could, help me grow as a player.
When you look back at junior and senior year, what was the recruiting process like for you as you were closing out your high school time?
It honestly hit me in the face because, when I started playing football, I only played football, so I wouldn't have to go to basketball practice. And a lot of my friends were, going to football and all this stuff like that. And I know the football players get the girls. So I said, I'm going to try football out. So my 9th and 10th grade year, I dressed varsity, but I never played. And then my junior year, all the older guys, they left. And, now it's my time to play. And so now these coaches I'm starting to make a little noise around, the city or around the town. And, these college coaches are, they're sending me these letters and stuff. So it hit me in the face a lot.
So obviously you play wide receiver. Was there any other positions that you tried out during your high school time?
No, not at all. I knew that, like my favorite player was Steve Smith. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to play football. So I'm a receiver. So that was just what was stuck in my head. I'm playing receiver, nothing else. So I stuck with it.
From Berkmar High School, you end up at Georgia Military for 2 seasons. What led to that decision?
At first, when I was in high school, I didn't really take, like I said, I didn't take the football thing serious those first 2 years. And so, I'm going to school for the wrong reasons. I'm going to school to look cool. I was going to school to, get girls, and college wasn't on my mind. And so I'm getting all these D1 letters, and these D1 colleges are coming to talk to me. But I got to have a certain GPA. I knew I didn't have that GPA. And so when it came down to signing day, all those schools, they told me, hey, you're probably going to have to go JUCO. And that was what led me to Georgia Military. And Georgia Military, they came and they talked to me, and they told me that, I can play D1 ball. And that helped me get there. And I believed them because there's a lot of talent at Georgia Military. And that's what got me at Georgia Military.
How would you describe your 2 seasons there?
It was tough. It tested me. So it made me question how much I love football. But by time being at Georgia Military, I went to get some of the toughest and best ball players that I've come across. And I met a lot of those guys. We, crossed paths again in the NFL. Georgia Military, it taught me a lot, and it got me ready for Carson-Newman when I got to Carson-Newman, because I felt like I was more developed and more ahead of other receivers, there, because of what I went through at Georgia Military.
We'll get to your recruiting story from Carson-Newman in a second, but obviously, as you mentioned, in high school you were looking at some Division I programs, and you have to end up coming to a Division II school. What other schools were you considering at Georgia Military as you were getting recruited during those 2 years?
Well, that first year, Georgia Military, I was the only freshman receiver on the roster. So I didn't play. I might get in during go block, so I get in there and block. And, that first year I didn't make any noise. That second year, I started all the way up, all in training camp. Now I feel like it's my year, all the sophomore receivers are gone. I'm the only upperclassman receiver pretty much. So it's my year. And then I said the Thursday before our first game, coach brings me in the office and he says, "Hey, I think you're going to be better for us coming off the bench." I'm like, dang, all over again. What about, this is my last year here. So that's what's all the stuff going through my head. So I didn't start at Georgia Military until the 6th game, halfway through the season. And from that point on, for the rest of the season, I scored a touchdown in every game. I led the team in receiving that season, but it was kind of late in the recruiting process. A lot of the D1 programs like UAB, Eastern Illinois, Villanova, William and Mary, schools like that, they were calling me, but they wanted me to wait and see, who they got and all this good stuff. So I was kind of going to be like a second option for them. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to give up on it. It's just going to be what it's going to be. And so I was sitting in my dorm one day and one of my best friends, a guy named Tony Perkins, he made my highlight tape for me. And he sent it out. And then like the next morning, Coach Persley called me and was like, "Hey, we want to get you up here on a visit." And, I'm sitting there like, dang, just like that. And that's how I ended up getting to Carson-Newman. But it's like every school in the SAC, after I came to Carson-Newman, every school in the SAC reached out to me. But I knew that I went to North Greenville for a visit before Carson-Newman. And I knew for a fact that that's not where I wanted to be. Newberry, they reached out as well. And then after I went to Carson-Newman, I knew that on that visit, I knew that there wasn't anywhere else that I would want to go because just off the love that I got from the coaches, especially Coach Persley, Coach Sparks, those guys, and then the players, they take you on that little visit thing and all that good stuff. It was cool. I knew I wasn't going to get that anywhere else.
When was the last time you watched that highlight tape?
Which highlight tape?
The one your buddy made.
I watched it a couple months ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
and I watched the one Coach Persley put together for me.
That eventually led to the opportunity in the NFL that we'll get to in a second. I want to dive back into the Carson-Newman decision because obviously Brock Persley, who now is the offensive coordinator, has been coaching the team this season, is there. But Ken Sparks played a critical role. I think we talked about it during your time here, and I know you've talked about it a little bit since. Mm-hmm. I think you just said your sophomore year, they said, "Dorian, go block." Well, that was kind of foreshadowing what it would be like once you got to Carson-Newman. Why was Coach Sparks so integral in your decision to come to Carson-Newman?
Because when I went to his office on my visit, especially at that time, spiritually, I was already trying to better myself, not knowing whose office I was walking into, not knowing that we wasn't going to talk about anything. We didn't talk about football at all. And I sat in the office for about 45 minutes and we talked about the person that, I am, the person that he think that I could be and stuff like that. And that's what made me, it felt genuine. And I'm like, I know like other visits that I went to, there's no Ken Sparks. And so I told him, we walked around the campus and all that stuff, doing a little orientation. And, I said, I'll be back in the summer. I want to come up here. So I'll be here in May. And that's all she wrote.
You get the opportunity to play for Coach Sparks for 1 year. It was his final season until his passing. What do you remember about the opportunity in 2016? Because for you only had 9 catches the entire year, and 4 of those came in one game. But you mentioned the fact that you were bettering yourself. Well, that's what Coach Sparks was all about. What do you remember about that one season with him?
I had to go up to his office. I don't know what it was between him and Coach Waits. I think because I had a wall up, and so I'm coming from Georgia Military. I didn't really get to interact with the coach because when you talk to a coach, lots of times you're in trouble, especially the head coach. And so I had a wall up when it came to me and the coaches, and every Thursday I had to go talk to either, especially when I first got there, I had to go talk to him or Coach Waits. But the first thing Coach Sparks would ask me was, "How's your heart?" I'm like, "How's your heart? How's your heart, Dorian? How's your heart?" you're better than that. How's your heart? And, so I'm like, dang, now I got to tighten it up, because I feel like if I don't want to disappoint him and make him, I'm really going to try this thing. And I actually ended up getting baptized that year too. So Coach Sparks, he that one year that I was around him, I learned a lot from him. So that's why I wore him on my cleats.
Yeah, I was just going to get into that. And in 2017, you wore them on your cleats. And in the feature that I did that season, we have the video of it, and I'll be sure to link that in the story on our website for people to go back and watch that story from 2017. But you end up deciding to put them on your cleats. What went into that choice for you?
Because he's not here with us no more, and that's what I was thinking. Like, he's not here with us no more, but without him, I probably wouldn't have landed at Carson-Newman. And, each day I'm going to try to represent him in this program the best that I can. I'm going to put him on my cleats. And so I called my cousin, because she does that kind of stuff. And I said, hey, I need you to put Coach Sparks on my cleats. And she, okay. And she had it ready before the game.
So let's go to that 2016 season. Let's track back a little bit. 9 catches for 98 yards. You had 4 for 54 yards against Mars Hill. So from your perspective, probably not what you wanted. And I think just in general, obviously being a wide receiver in Carson-Newman's offense for so long, it was not glamorous. It was a lot of those days where maybe you'd see one ball thrown your way, and if you didn't take that to the house, it was going to be a light day for you. What do you remember about time on the field as a junior?
Oh, man, I'd be killing it in practice. So I know, because I didn't start that year. I think Coach Waits was trying to get me into the rotation, but Coach Turner, he wasn't so confident in me knowing the offense. And at first I didn't know, because it was we ran the veer, so it was something different that I was used to. And so, when I did get in, Dory, go block the middle linebacker. And in my head, man, I'm a receiver. At that time I was 185. I'm sitting looking at this middle linebacker who's 230. You want me to go hit him? Can't do it. So I go up to the safety. I work my way up to the second level. Get him out. He don't know what he's doing. I know what I'm doing. I just wasn't trying to kill myself. So that right there probably kept me off the field a lot, because, if you won't block, for your running backs, we can't get you the ball, because that's what's going to, and I learned that the second year, that's what's going to open it up for you in the pass game. If you can run the ball efficiently, that pass is going to be open.
So going into your senior season then, knowing the fact that, as you mentioned, you've been killing it in practice. For you, I think that maybe it's been a little bit of a frustrating few years in college. Senior year's pretty much your last opportunity. We'll talk about the numbers you put up in that senior season. What's your mindset throughout that off season, getting ready for your final year at Mossy Creek?
I was sitting there thinking, like I said, this is my year. And I told Coach Waits when I first got there, we had to write down our goals, our short-term and long-term goals, and our season goals. And one of my goals was to be one of the best, if not the best receiver to ever walk through Carson-Newman. And I wrote that down. And so Coach Waits held me accountable for that. Even when he switched over to defense, he held me accountable for that. Are you doing everything that you can do to be, that? And so I knew that everybody else was going home for the summer. And I went and got a job in Morristown at Planet Fitness so I can stay up here, because I felt like if I'm at the gym and I'm working out, if I'm at the school and I see the field, I got to walk past the field every day. I got to walk past the field house every day. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do everything that I know that, other guys aren't doing. So I took everything personal. I took that junior year very personal. Like, I knew for a fact that I should have caught way more balls than 9 passes, and had how many yards did I have? Like, I don't even know. It wasn't 98 yards. That's something that I would put up in my senior year. I put that up in one game. I had that in one season. And so I took that very personal. And so I I just wanted it. I had to go. I wanted to go to the NFL. So that's why, I played and I wore everything on my sleeve.
Senior season, 37 catches, 868 yards, nearly 24 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns, second most yards in Carson-Newman's option area. You had 4 games with at least 100 yards. You had 8 catches for 102 yards in a win at Lenoir-Rhyne. So you backed yourself up. You backed up what you said that you wanted to do and had one of the best seasons that a Carson-Newman wide receiver had ever had. When that first game hit and you were able to put up the numbers that you expected to, how much satisfaction did that give you?
To be honest with you, I wasn't satisfied because I wasn't satisfied because I felt like I had a lot to prove. I dropped the first pass of the game. I dropped the hitch. And because I'm sitting there looking, the guy's playing cover 3. He's playing off of me. I'm bigger. I was bigger than him, so I knew that he was going to go for my legs. So I'm already thinking in my head, I'm about to catch this ball, sidestep, and I'm taking it to the crib. Well, the ball come, I sidestep the ball. I juke the ball. Boom, drop. And so, I think I had just under 100 yards that game. I could have had maybe 130 or something. I was my biggest critic. So, and I felt like I had a lot left I feel like I had a lot more that I could have done. But we won that game. So I feel like it was a good start to our season.
Did you put additional pressure on yourself throughout that season, knowing that every opportunity you get was a chance to put something on tape, knowing that NFL teams were going to look at those highlight tapes for you?
Yes, I did. I did. And because I just didn't know, like, I'm coming from, Carson-Newman, and you'll be surprised how much that name carries weight. I didn't realize that when I was there. But we known for running the ball, and you're not known for having a crazy passing game or a good, so yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself.
So as you go through that season, I mentioned the numbers, huge numbers. You were amongst the nation's leaders in yards per catch throughout the season. How do you sum up what happened during your senior season on the field?
I think it was, at first I wasn't satisfied because I had 1,000 yards in my head, and I didn't get 1,000 yards, and we didn't go to the playoffs. So I felt like I short the team. I feel like I could have did more. There was 2 games where, we just ran the ball. Coach Turner came to me and told me that we were going to run the ball. I think it was Catawba. We were going to run the ball that game. And then the Tusculum game, it was pouring down rain. We threw the ball 1 time. And, and that's when, and I think that Catawba game is when I really sat down and I humbled myself. And I said, I'm not, because I think leading up to that point, I think I had almost 100 yards in just about all the games. In that game right there, I had not 1 catch. But we won the game, and that's when I realized that, I got more satisfaction, knowing that we were winning than knowing that, I fulfilled my, personal goals. I fulfill my personal goals and we lose. What's the point of it? So, but yeah, I think, but those 2 games, I think they did hurt my stats a little bit though.
When you talk about your personal growth, you mentioned that you had a wall up when you first got to Carson-Newman. You've had a few years to reflect upon your time at Carson-Newman. How much personally did you grow during the 2 years here in Jefferson City?
I tell people this all the time. Like, I honestly learned more about myself as a person and as a man at Carson-Newman than I did in the classroom. I know I set morals and, boundaries and things I will do and things I will not do. And there's still things like the yes sirs, no sir. I come across somebody who's my age and I still yes sir, no sir. It's just the things that they taught me there as a man, I carry that with me every day. I read my Bible. I pray more. I do a lot of things, and I do a lot of things different. And something that I had seen when I first got there that helped me let that wall down was the fact that I seen how the coaches were so open to, bring the players around their family. And I had went to Coach Waite's house that first week. He invited me over there. I didn't like being around people, that I didn't know. So I'm like, I'm just going to stay in my dorm, play Madden or, 2K and stuff like that. I'd be cool till practice. I don't care. I don't want to meet no new friends. And then it was pretty much the point where I had to go over to his house, and I seen how he was with his family. And now that I have a family of my own now, that right there, I told Coach Waits, I said, I want to be like you when I get older. I want to have a family. I want to do the things that you do with your family when I get older. And without even realizing, I do it. I appreciate Carson-Newman so much.
I think you mentioned after the Carson-Newman career came to an end, you didn't even speak to an agent until 2 weeks prior to the draft. What was your mindset going through the offseason, knowing that there necessarily hasn't been a whole lot of buzz, but you still had that goal of wanting to get to the NFL?
I was depressed. I went to a deep, I ain't gonna say a deep depression, but I was sad, man. Sitting in my dorm and it was in the Butler dorms, and I'm sitting in there. There's times where I cried because I was so frustrated. I haven't heard from anybody. And I asked Coach Turner, "Hey, Coach, you heard from anybody?" "No, not yet. So I'm like, dang. And then one of my friends from third grade, me and her, we go all the way back to third grade. She took my film. She made that film and she sent it out to every agent in the Tennessee and the Atlanta area. And my agent called me while I was in marketing, and he called me and was like, "Hey, I want to, I can get you in there." And, I trusted him on it, and, he made it happen. And that's when after that, I started, different teams started flying me to visit and all this good stuff. It got me out of class. It did get me out of class. I love that.
So this is the second time in, 3 years that one of your friends makes your highlight tape for you.
Yes.
How much do you owe those two people for just helping you get to the next step? Because probably your dreams right now would have never been accomplished without those two.
I tell them all the time, like, thank you. For what? It's like, for what? Thank you. My agent told me when I got my first check, he said, you need to take her to get her a steak the size of your back. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll do it.
So you get the phone call from Jacksonville. You don't get drafted. You go undrafted. Describe what the phone call was like with the Jaguars.
Well, they called me. I talked to the Jaguars. Was the only team that came to my pro day, but that's all that I needed. I show them, put 4.3 speed on film, and they liked that. But the whole draft process, I think that second day, I knew I wasn't going to get called the second day, but the third day was a possibility. I still haven't heard from the Jags. Atlanta said they might try to get me in the 7th. Detroit called me in the 5th, and was asking, would I come up there if they, whatever they had going on in their board in their draft room. Detroit comes around, they pick I don't know who they picked in the 7th round. And then Jacksonville called me and they said, "Hey, we got one more pick. We're probably going to go with a punter, but we want to get you in here as an undrafted free agent. Would you be okay with that?" Yes, of course. So I knew, I had a feeling that I was going to Jacksonville. And I think Derek Evans told me I probably was going to go to Jacksonville. I think he might have called me earlier that day and said, "Bro, you better go to Jacksonville, bro." But it felt, I couldn't believe it. And even when I got there at first, I still couldn't believe it.
What was the celebration like, knowing that your dream and the potential of playing in the NFL and wearing an NFL jersey had pretty much come true at that point?
It was crazy. It was crazy. That day we were actually having a graduation party, and so it was just so happened that it was the last day of the draft, and so it my family, they came for one occasion, but we ended up celebrating two. You know, it was like a little early graduation thing that we had going on. And, you know, it was perfect, man. It was perfect.
A lot of, I guess, professional athletes talk about their welcome to the league moment, be it walking into a locker room, seeing a guy you grew up that you really enjoyed seeing, getting a chance to play in front of 60, 70,000 fans, getting hit by a defender so hard that you barely remember who you are. What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
My welcome to the NFL moment, I thought that the crazy thing is, the welcome to the NFL moment was, you know, I got jammed by Jalen Ramsey, and in college, I'm bigger and I'm stronger than everybody, especially in D2 level. I was bigger and stronger than most of the DBs, just about every DB that I ever went against, and so I could hit him with the same move, boom, boom, and I'm off the line, I'm past him. But now I'm sitting there lined up with somebody who's, my size, if not bigger, and I tried a little shimmy sham off the line, and he took his hand and he put it in my chest and ran the route for me. That right there was okay. You got to perfect your craft. You really got to come with it each and every day, and you got to give them something new every time you're out there, because they get paid to make plays just like you, and that's what really woke me up to, okay, you here. But the coolest thing that I thought at that time, I think in college, my favorite player was Marquise Lee and Alshon Jeffries. And so it's just ironic that, I end up going to Jacksonville, where I'm sitting next to Marquise Lee, and then I go to Jacksonville and Alshon Jeffries, like my big brother, he just called everybody nephew, but they really taught me a lot. It's crazy because I used to try to copy everything they do, besides even wearing the wrist tape and the face mask. I tried to really copy their on the field swag.
Let's go back to Jalen Ramsey for a second, because he's pretty much been the best cornerback in the league from the day that he walked into the NFL, and he'll obviously let you know about that as well. Going against him in practice during that time, how much did that help you improve as a receiver in a short period?
It helped me. It helped me a lot, especially when I got to Philly, because Philly got great players, but they ain't got no Jalen Ramsey, and so I'm sitting there thinking, if I can do this against J Ram, if I can catch a pass against J Ram, I know I can catch a pass against you. That's just what I put in my head. But yeah, it helped me a lot.
Week 1 of the preseason, you get to go on the field. You get to wear a Jacksonville Jaguars uniform. What do you remember about the very first time that you played in an NFL game?
And the butterflies. But then, you tune the crowd out. You forget that you're playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people. You tune them out, and now you're playing football. You're playing football, and and then after you get your first catch, now the game really slows down.
You caught a pass in that first week against the Saints for 8 yards. What do you remember about that play?
So I caught that pass. It was on a spray out. The dude was playing off, and I hear him call the play in huddle, and I'm sitting there looking at the coverage. I'm the single side receiver. I know the ball's coming to me. I just got to catch it, and so I catch the ball, and then the next possession I think we go with the out and up. So I done ran the out, so they're looking for the out. Now I got to run the out and up. He's going to bite on the out. And I had to do beat by about 10 yards. I was about to lie and say 15. I had a beat by, it felt like 10 yards. I was just wide open. Dude didn't even hit me. I'm like, oh, man. I felt like if I would have caught a touchdown in that first game, I think everything in that point would, from that point on would have been totally different. I probably wouldn't have left Jacksonville that season.
Week 4, you catch another pass, and then you get the notification that the Jaguars are going to release you at that point. What was your emotions like between that time and the time that the Philadelphia Eagles called to give you an opportunity?
The Jags, they told me to stick around. They told me to stick around for the weekend, because they said we'll probably want to bring you back on the practice squad. So that was Friday. And then I talked to my agent. My agent told me, he said, my agent told me ahead of time, like, if they do, let you go, you know, that's fine. We got somewhere else to go. So I think he was already working and talking to the Eagles ahead of time. And so when they did let me go, they told me, Sunday, you should hear something back. Sunday around 1:00, that's when, people can start, going to different teams. And I think Sunday at 1:00, like maybe 1:10, I was, with the Eagles. And, everything was, up from there.
When you get to Philadelphia, you spend about a year and a half there. You get the entire 2018 season with them. What do you remember about life as a practice squad member of the Philadelphia Eagles?
It was cool, man. It was cool. You get to go. I know I got so much better. I got so much better being on the practice squad. And I would watch my film, college film, just about every week. And I would see things, that I learned now, like being up there in Philly, things that I had to my arsenal versus looking back, at Carson-Newman. I'm like, dang, I don't think I was that good. I don't think I was that good at Carson-Newman. Like, why'd you run your route like that? Or why'd you, but being up there in Philly on the practice squad, it was cool because, each week, you're mimicking somebody else. And you're going hard. And it was a big satisfaction to me because I felt like, if I bust their butt, throughout the week, Sunday come, they done seen it all week. They know what's coming. And when we win, that's a big satisfaction because I felt like I did my job. But then after a while, it's like, hey, man, I need y'all to go ahead and promote me and bump me on up, man. Bump me up. I need it.
2018, the entire year with Philadelphia, you mentioned the fact that as a practice squad member, you have to play certain roles to help the defense. Is there a particular role that you remember playing that you thought for a second, man, this is a fun opportunity, be it maybe playing a Julio Jones type role or something like that to try to help the defense out?
Yeah, I got to be D-Hop, one week. Then I realized, D-Hop don't get tired. So I didn't get to come out that much. It's like, okay, Dory, just run a post. All right, now you got now you got to stop and go. That's 2 40-yard routes back to back. He still don't get tired. I think we won that. Did we win that game? No, we lost that game. So I probably didn't feel good that Monday coming back. Maybe I didn't do a good D-Hop job, but I thought I did.
How would you describe what life is like as a member of the practice squad? Because obviously a lot of people don't necessarily know a lot of what that entails, kind of know that you're on the team, but the opportunity for you to get called up is contingent upon somebody getting hurt or getting sick or not being able to play that week. So how would you describe what it's like being a member of an NFL team's practice squad for a season?
Well, when you come – every Tuesday, when you come back in the locker room after the game, especially with the practice squad, the bottom of the roster, it's constantly rotating. So each week when you come in and you still see your name on the locker, it's like a sigh of relief. Because when it comes down to letting people go, those are the first people they're going to let go. But I was there all year, so I felt like I did my job. But you only practice 3 days a week, maybe. You got walkthroughs and you got a full day, and then you got you got film and stuff. So you only really practicing 3 days, and you get paid a lot of money to do that. That was pretty cool, especially as a 22, 23-year-old man. Like you ain't never seen that much money in your life. That was pretty cool. All I gotta do is just practice for an hour or two. That's not too many people can say they did that.
Did you keep anything from your time in the NFL that means something maybe a little bit special to you, be it a ball from that first catch, a jersey, anything like that you still own that you really are fond of?
Well, I have my jerseys, I have my helmets, attire. Philly, I still got my playbook, so, whenever you get ready, give me a call. But yeah, a veteran told me, to keep everything. Keep everything. You have a house, you got a man cave, it's in your man cave. So I really kept just about everything.
We've gone through your entire story, and it's super interesting how everything played out, because you're a star high school wide receiver that ends up in a JUCO, that doesn't get an opportunity to go to D1, that has 9 catches in a veer offense as a junior, that blossoms as a senior, becomes an NFL player. What's your message to kids like you right now that think that they have a chance to get to the NFL, but maybe aren't going to have the same path of going to an Alabama, being a first-round pick, getting right into the NFL? What's your message to kids like that?
If you're good, they're going to find you. And don't let nobody tell you that you can't, because I had many people that tell me that I can't do it. One of my coaches at JUCO told me that I wasn't going to graduate, and that's why I didn't play now. And I took that, what he said, and I wrote it down in my wallet, and I kept it in my wallet for 3 years. And then he actually ended up going to coach Lenore Ryan. And after we played them my senior year, he came up to me, he started smiling and talking. I gave him that note that, that quoted everything he said. And, I just took everything personal. But not everybody's like that. If you have a goal, if you have a place that you want to, get there. Not everybody's going to believe, but that's something that I took with me, and then I carry with me every day.
In February, you signed with the Calgary Stampeders of the Canadian Football League. Coronavirus was circulating at that point, but hadn't become what it eventually has become. What led to the opportunity with Calgary?
Actually, Calgary, they reached out to me. They reached out to me as soon as I got released from Philly. But they're already in their season, so that was 2019. That was last year. They were already in their season, and there was no point in bringing me up there. They just wanted me to get up there, this year. But COVID kicked in, and it put everybody on standby. So nobody knows what's going to happen or when it's going to happen.
What has quarantine life been like, really, I guess, in the early days, knowing that you have an opportunity in the CFL right there, and then 6 weeks later, basically the entire world shuts down? What was life like for you at that point?
It's like, dang, what am I going to do? But it gives you time to, be with your family. I have a well, she's not a newborn anymore, but, she's 1. And, I get to see her and be with her every day. And that's like the best thing. That's the best thing right there, because if I was gone, I wouldn't be able to do that. And watching her grow every day, I love that. But other than that, working out, your routine doesn't stop. It doesn't change, because, even if they, when they do open it back up and there is a season, they're going to expect you to, be at tip-top shape. You're professional. That's what they expect from you. So the grind don't stop.
You mentioned your daughter. Well, I know your mom means a lot to you. I watched an interview from a couple of years ago where you mentioned that you had 3 tattoos of her, and that she means a great deal to you. To now have a daughter, to try to bring up her and raise her, what's it mean to have your family kind of come full circle, where your mom was able to give you the opportunities for you to just get to the NFL, and now you have the opportunity to pass that success along to your daughter?
I mean, it means a lot. I got my mom's portrait tattooed on me. I had to get my daughter's tattooed on me as well. But she's so smart, and I'm like, okay, you're definitely just trying to get her to I throw little soccer balls in front of her, try to get her to kick the soccer ball. She'll pick it up and run with it. I don't know. She might play football. I don't know.
So what's next for Dorren Miller?
Just I pray that whether it's football, whether it's training and coaching kids, talking to kids, motivating kids to stay true to their true colors and stick to their dreams. I don't know what it leads to, but doing something that I love.
Well, Dorian, this has been a lot of fun reminiscing with you, not only about some of your early life, but your Carson-Newman days. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck in the future.
Thank you, man. You have a good one.
Thank you so much. He's Dorren Miller, our guest here on episode 9 of Mossy Creek Conversations. Please like and subscribe on your favorite channel. We hope that you tune in for the next one. This has been Mossy Creek Conversations.